oh, my marriage is going to be doomed because he made me or she made me sign a prenup. No, that is a perfect opportunity to stop you from getting a divorce.
What's up? Welcome to the You Knows Best Pod. I appreciate your support. In return, I hope I provide you with some worthwhile gems that benefit you on your journey. At the very least, I hope I put a smile on your face. If not, hopefully you share this with someone that does benefit. And I got you next time. Again, thanks for joining today, and let's get this thing going. Welcome to another episode of the You Knows Best podcast. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. So I plan to give you the whole truth, nothing but the truth, well, as best I can. So help me God. Today we have an amazing guest, one of my great friends. She also has been a big support in me being a new father from a legal standpoint over the last year and a half. Miss Kerease Epps. Kerease, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
So Kerease, we were already talking about our experiences as kids of, that are products of broken homes and how we both flourished in spite of that, right? Both college educated, multiple degrees, all that stuff. Something about that made you get into this work, right? I kind of want to understand because you didn't have a traditional track to being a lawyer, and now you're, where are you working now?
I'm assistant general counsel at Chicago Public Schools, overseeing student discipline.
Okay. So even your track has been very interesting.
So it's full circle now. I guess first background from the South Side of Chicago. I am a product of divorced parents. Love both of my parents. They did the best they could. They're winning. They're 2 for 2, okay? Mm-hmm. Had 2 kids. Both 2 kids are doing really well. I went to CPS, so Chicago Public Schools, from K through 12. Graduated, went to Northwestern. Once I graduated from Northwestern, I moved to Detroit, where I met a good mutual friend, and I did Teach for America. So I started teaching, and I loved it. I taught 4th grade on the east side of Detroit. Loved my kids, hated the education system, and also wanted to be paid more because teachers are severely underpaid. I was making $32,000 a year and spending money out of my pocket.
$32,000?
Yes.
That sounds
And to
great.
put into focus, it cost $60,000 a year to go to Northwestern. I graduated and was making half of what the tuition was. Sorry, Detroit. I got there and the city was bankrupt, so it was late. It was really cheap, but it just wasn't sustainable. So I ended up moving back to Chicago, and I was still teaching. I taught 12th grade at a charter school. Once again, I loved my kids. Both of them were predominantly Black schools. Loved my kids. I got to teach African-American history, which I was all in.
They don't want us to be talking about that, though.
I was so excited. I got to create the curriculum. I had bomb things for us to read. We were drawing parallels between Ta-Nehisi codes between the world and me, because this is back in 2015, the 2015-2016 school year. Then the new Jim Crow was out. So I was all right, 12th grade, it's going to be lit. They're going to be so ready when I go to college. My kids couldn't read.
In 12th grade.
17, 18-year-olds could not access Between the Road and Me, which is a 6th grade text.
That's tough.
So that was a struggle on top of it's really popular school to prison pipeline. So I was working at a school that pushed our kids out the door if they did not conform to certain standards, which were prison standards. If you're walking in a straight line, you have to be quiet. This is high school. Who the hell is quiet during lunch?
I've definitely talked to people that have talked about how the education system or schools are like prisons. It teaches people to be like prisoners.
And I was like, me? If I was just, I graduated at the top of my class, I'd have been suspended. I'd have been expelled.
Yeah, for sure.
For just advocating for it. So they didn't teach kids how to advocate for themselves. I would challenge that. I would get in trouble. I was like, all right, I'm going to go into education policy. I did some policy work, and I was like, all right, I'm going to law school.
That makes it.
And then when I went to law school, so I wanted to stay in Chicago, got into great law schools, got into the best law schools in the state, but they were not giving out money. And I was not trying to go into debt. I decided to go to Loyola, amazing law school. I got this amazing fellowship, Child and Family Law Fellowship, where I got to do so much amazing work around education law. I got to work in the Child and Family Law Clinic, which is then how I kind of got to family law. So I just learned a ton, and also realized there were not a lot of Black family law attorneys that could help people that look like me and you navigate this incredibly complex legal system.
You're making me feel bad because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a family law attorney.
Don't feel bad. You see, I am no longer there.
But no, I think my experience growing up and seeing my parents divorce and everything, I used to tell my mom, I'm going to go to law school and be a child support attorney. And everybody still stuck to that when I was a kid. But like, no, I definitely commend you because it's hard work. I know dealing with me as a client is difficult. Like,
I always told you, I was like, you're not the worst.
I feel like
you're
I'm bossy,
not a
though.
bad client.
Yeah.
No, there's like bossy and crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's like bossy and passionate.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like just absolutely nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I will take a client that is passionate and is very invested in their case over someone that is absolutely nuts, unrealistic, not doing what they're supposed to be doing, which makes my job harder. When you have a client that's like, no, I just want to be right with my child. I just want to be in my child's life. You are throwing all your weight behind that client because you're like, no, like.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, it's okay. Like,
shout out to the good parents.
Yeah, stop calling yourself a difficult client because that's not difficult.
For sure. Yeah, so I think the premise of having you here today was kind of to help people understand and navigate what it is to be, a parent that's trying to get custody of their kid or get more time with their child and understand the in and out. Illinois is not, like every state. They're different, and we understand that there are different, regulations and policies in every state, but kind of trying to help people understand like, hey, this isn't a uphill battle that you can't win or, that you should be defeated when you started. And I think I was talking about it, like I came in initially feeling kind of defeated. Like I was like, I'm gonna just be taking the L, but I'm gonna fight as hard as I can to be in my son's life and, understand what my rights are as a father. That's the whole basis of this show, is to kind of help Black men understand it, but like there's also Black women that want to get back in their children's lives, and for whatever reason that you're not, because things happen. We're all human, and just trying to understand like, how do you navigate the system? What are the ins and outs of that? Can you kind of explain the primary focus of family law and its significance in the legal system?
Transparently, the government doesn't want to take care of your kids. The government does not want to be responsible for you and your children. The responsibility is on you. And you know that constitutionally, you have the fundamental right to raise and rear your children how you see fit, with some limitations. That's like one of your fundamental rights, like education, one of those fundamental rights. That's why we have all of this Supreme Court case law around education and how you can raise your kids. Traditionally, the government does not want to be involved. They don't want to be responsible.
Oh, it's the one thing they don't want to be involved.
They don't want to be responsible for taking care of your kids, spending money on your children.
Fair enough.
So one is to make sure that children are taken care of. So there's like child welfare, making sure the kids are taken care of, and they're like, it's like a best fitness, that both parents are acting within the best fitness of the child.
Okay.
And then also that y'all are paying for this kid, and it's not the government's responsibility to pay for your child.
Right.
So that's like the main thing. Like,
so basically, no, we don't want y'all on welfare.
We don't want you on welfare, public aid, public assistance. You know where the other parent is.
Go get the money.
Go get the money. That's why a lot of people are like, oh, she put me on child support. Well, she probably didn't put you on child support. She probably applied for public aid. And a part of applying for public aid, they're like, hey, if you have these kids that you're asking for what's called LINK now, food stamps, if you're asking for Medicaid, Medicare, insurance for that, if you're asking for child care stipend, the government's like, I mean, okay, cool, we got it. But where's the other person that's responsible? Give us their name, their date of birth, their social security number, and we're going to go to them first and get the money first before you drain resources for people who might not have an additional partner.
That's fair.
So family law, kind of like the court system, it just kind of help you put together a plan to take care of your own kids. Because like you said, we're human. Disagreements happen.
Right.
I'm a believer that people need rules. People need structure.
I'm very much about having the rules. Let's stay within the lines.
And nobody needs structure more than kids.
Yeah.
Kids need structure and a good foundation in order to be successful.
Yeah.
So that's what happens with family law. For Black people, I'm like, please, y'all, let's not go to court. Let's keep our kids out of the court system. This doesn't necessarily always help us, but don't do this alone. If you have a partner, man or woman, that is not contributing, you need to be
and I think
supporting financially, because that's expensive. And that's their burden to bear if they're not supporting emotionally.
Yeah, and I think even on the other end of that spectrum, like if you want to be in your child's life, and you don't trust the other person to let you be in the life, like you're going to have to go through the court system. You know, like don't leave it up to that person, emotions, their feelings day by day, or whether or not you're going to see your child. I like to have structure in play. I think that's probably because our parents are like public service.
You see the benefit of structure. Like you think about like when you were growing up, there was a schedule, okay? I didn't have time to get in trouble because I had shit to do, a place to be.
Yeah.
So there was no like idle time for the devil's playground because I had things to, I was at school by 7:30. We had school. After school, I had these activities. When I got home, I knew I had to do this from this time to this time.
Yeah.
That time, baby, I'm tired. I'm going to sleep. Like the sun is down.
Yeah, my dad being military and a firefighter. I could tell the difference in the structure in my life. Like when my parents did separate, because with my dad, it was woke up at a certain time, ate breakfast. He had to go run his errands, so that meant I was running my errands because I spent most of my time with my dad growing up. Before my parents separated, because he was a firefighter. So that meant him going out and cutting lawns, whatever he had to do. And then I had to take my nap. I had to do my activities. I had practice, schoolwork. I needed it. That like when I got home, it wasn't no watching TV. It was do your homework. And then I had to be in bed by a very early time until I was like 13. But yeah, like that structure led me to being a very regimented person. I didn't realize how regimented I was until the pandemic. Like when I lost all my structure and it was just me left to my own devices day to day, it sent me in a spiral. So
you probably created your own structure. Like, all right, listen, this is what you get up and doing every day.
Yeah, I used to get up every morning because my process was like I would walk to the BART station. So I lived in Oakland, walk to BART, which was a mile away. I didn't take an Uber. I wasn't doing none of that. I was like, I'm gonna at least get that mile in every morning. So I was up by 5, out the house by 5:15, 5:20, at the gym, at the train station by 5:45, at the gym by 6:20, working out in the shower by 8 o'clock, upstairs at my desk at 8:30 with grabbing my breakfast. So I lost all that, plus the mile walking back home every day. So like I started getting up in the morning, walking to BART, and then running back home because it was throwing my fitness off too because I couldn't go to the gym. But then that would be my morning. Like I would still wake up at the same time, walk, come back, work out a little bit, start doing some work. I even underestimated the amount of like looking at the sun every day.
And you didn't even have kids then.
Yeah, I didn't have.
So imagine the parents that had kids and their kids couldn't go to school and they had to transition to virtual school. And there was no transitioning really between parents because everybody's freaking out about COVID unless you had strict things in place. So that became a huge deal.
Right.
And kids also need structure. They're like, usually at school by now. Like, I got to sit here with this computer. I can't play with my friends. I'm not able to be social.
Yep.
And then the primary parent is like, I got to go to work, but I also need to help the kids navigate school. So like.
And you got all these little people running around your house while you're on the call. Yeah.
So that just blew family law up too. Or you had anti-vaxxer parents, people who didn't believe in getting vaccines, people who didn't believe in COVID, they wouldn't wear masks.
Yeah.
Kids couldn't get vaccinated at the time.
Right.
So that's people were going to court to try and get their kids vaccinated.
Yeah, and you know, like before I got into this process, like I really underestimated the like importance. Like I always want to date. I want to be with somebody that, you know, shares my faith, all that. But like the importance on like the very small, minute things that you kind of take for granted. Like, are you going to vaccinate my child? Are you going to do this and that? And this isn't no shade of mine. This is at no point, you know, talking about my son's mother. This is really just like things that I've talked to different people about, like when they're like, well, yeah, my child's mom don't want to do this or my child's father don't want to do this. And I'm like, people really be having kids with people they don't know.
There are a lot of questions that you don't think about until you get into the thick of it.
Right.
There's a lot of things I didn't consider to like start a family law. I was like, wait, what are we arguing about right now? There's no relief the court can give you.
Yeah.
The court does not care about whether your kid gets a cell phone at 10 or 13. Does not care about the social media your child has access to.
Right.
No.
Those are things.
It's not going to necessarily put a cap on how many activities your kid can participate in unless it interferes with the other person's parenting time. And the judge is probably going to be like, is your kid doing well academically? And you're saying yes. Are they doing well in these 4 sports? And you say yes. Like, well, why are you in my face?
Wasting my time.
Wasting my time, telling me you want to cut down your kids' sports.
But I think that's the pettiness thing of it, right?
It's just a lot of things you don't think about that might impact your day-to-day life, or for someone, you and me too. You definitely traveled a ton. I used to travel a ton.
Right.
And I'm pregnant with my first child. Me and my partner like,
congratulations.
Thank you. We're like, we're not going to be able to just pick up and go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I have to do now. Like, I really have to plan my trips. Like, I used to be the person that was like, I'm bored. I'm going to go out of town this weekend. That ain't that no more. Like, everything has to be within a certain confine of the time. Like, even, like, I booked trips out for, like, the next 5 months.
But I also want to be able to take my baby with me.
Right.
Like, you might want to be thinking, like, oh, man, this would be really great to take your son with you.
Right.
But it's like, okay, let me make sure that
his mom is okay with it.
His mom is okay with him going to Panama. It'd be a great experience for the baby to go to Panama. But then we have to start thinking about the dangers, about the different shots a young baby will have to get going to Panama, even though it'll be great.
Right.
All the packing that you have to care about. Are they going to have a car seat? What type of car seat do I have to buy when I get to Panama? Take on a plane? Type of headphones I got to have the kid on? Can the kid stay for that many hours? Potential for blood clots on flights that are X amount of time.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot to consider. Does my kid have global entry? Because I can't tell my kid, hey, you over there, and I'm going to go through the global entry line.
Yeah, now, because my son flew down for my graduation, and that was a whole ordeal, like headphones. He apparently threw a fit on the plane with his mom, because that was the longest time that he had to, like, sit still. And just planning for food. Like, the food part, too, was, like, difficult, like, because, you know, he is primarily breastfed, so, like, that's a whole nother ordeal, like, making sure we got enough milk, making sure we have substitutes, like, what can he eat, what he can't eat. But, yeah, it's definitely something that you have to take into account that, you know, being a parent is not for the faint of heart. It's not for somebody that is just, like, willy-nilly because your child would be sick or hurt or something because you're not paying attention.
So we got so far away from the question. Family law just help you mediate and put some structure.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that the government's not responsible for your kid.
Because they shouldn't be. All right. So from, like, what are the main areas of family law that you specialize in to deal with or dealt with most frequently?
It's all the same.
It's all
it's all the same. It's
because I know there's divorce law, then there's, like, people that
whether it's like divorce or parentage, it's all like the same thing. You guys are everybody's all arguing over the same thing. Divorce is you're arguing over splitting your assets. Totally separate. But when it just comes to kids, you're same thing. You're just in Illinois, it's not called custody anymore. It's called allocation of parental responsibilities. And it's like the big 4 areas, like education, religion, health, extracurricular activities.
Okay.
So the decision making in regards to those big 4 areas, and the separate is parenting time. How are you going to manage parenting time with your child or children?
Right.
So it all just falls into, like, the same thing. Are we going to have shared decision making where we're going to make decisions together? We're going to have an equal say on where a kid goes to school. And should we come to an impasse, then we're share the information, like, hey, I want my kid to go to St. Ignatius, or I want my kid to go to Brother Rice. Those are private Catholic schools in Chicago.
I only know St. Ignatius because they got, like, the number 1 DTAP or something.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Very good academically. It's all I know.
Yeah.
How much does it cost? Can we afford it? What's the benefit of my kid going to this school over this school? All right, if they don't get in here, do we go through CPS and magnet school and testing? And what does that look like? Both parents have equal say and have to have a true conversation on what this looks like.
Yeah, because I'm one of the people that, like, you talked about going to public school. I went to public school. I'm not a big advocate of private school. So, like, I think that would even be an argument. Like, I want my child to have the best educational, like, experience and opportunities, but also understand the value of your child, like, interacting with people that look like them every day. Like, so yeah, that's to even think about that.
So that was kind of like a big issue for my parents. My mom wanted us to go to Catholic school because she was like, no, my kids are super smart. I want them to have all the, best reason. My dad was like, I went to public school right here and I turned out just fine. Jury's still out on it. Just kidding. But so that was like a big like contention. Like, okay, how much does it cost? What are the benefits? What's the cost benefit analysis? Are we working purely off emotion? Is there like some logic? But then that's where a lot of people have mediation, have mediators. You have a parenting coordinator to help you kind of like navigate that pre-decree. So before you guys have a final judgment, you'll have a guardian ad litem. The guardian ad litem will help weigh in and give the judge, some recommendations like, hey, I went to this school. I went to that school. I researched it, judge. Here's my recommendation.
Yeah. Shout out to Lester. But yeah, that was something even like coming here that I didn't even know was a thing. Like when y'all brought it up, like, oh, you got to get a gal. And I was like, who?
A gal, a GAL.
Yeah.
Stands for guardian ad litem.
Right. And then...
So it's the lawyer. A guardian ad litem is the lawyer that represents your child's interests. So he or she acts as basically the court's expert too. So it's the court's eyes and ears because the judge can't go and do all this research.
Not at all.
They're relying. And then if the judge just has attorneys that represent you and the other person, it's just he and she back and forth, back and forth. Mom says this, dad shares this, da-da-da-da-da. Then it just comes down to credibility. Versus if you having someone who is an attorney, has interviewed all parties, has interviewed collaterals, goes out into the field,
right,
looks into these things and can come back with a neutral recommendation. Judge be like, hey.
Whatever he said. Whatever she
sounds
said.
good.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I think, and definitely my situation, it definitely calmed things down or like got us to a resolution much quicker than it probably would have.
Because you never want to go into court not being the reasonable one.
Right.
So we would talk to you before, like, all right, let's take the reasonable position. We also reading your judge because they're human.
Right.
We have a very well-respected black male judge in the division. It's like, even as attorney, it's like, yeah, you can go and say that crazy stuff to the judge, but me and my reputation, I will not be saying that.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say that Kerease and Joe kept me out of a lot of trouble because I can be passionate is a good word I could say.
I'm like, yeah, we're going to mute you and let us talk.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So all that really makes sense. And I think it's really important to know that's in place going into the proceedings. Like, hey, if y'all can't come to an agreement, there's going to be a third party at it. And that's more money out your pocket.
And that third party costs money.
Right.
So the more litigious you are, the more it's going to cost you and take money out of your pocket that you could be spending on these kids.
Yeah. And I think that's the other thing is like it would be ideal if you could just come to an agreement and move on so you can put those resources in other places, like a fund for your child, for school, whatever. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
But that's also why in Illinois, mediation is usually a mandatory first step. So before the judge will even hear you or hear your arguments, have a hearing, they'll send you off to mediation. How can you narrow these issues for me? Yeah.
And that kind of helped us at this point that we're at now, because most of the stuff that we talked about in mediation is now part of the agreement.
So it's like we agree on all of these things. These are the last things that we don't agree on. The judge can weigh in on this and see who's not being reasonable or what is a reasonable solution.
Yeah. I always try to I knew I had my feelings about things, but I would always rely on y'all to advise me, because I didn't want to be like, nah, I ain't doing that. I don't care what y'all say, because I would be like, what? I got to do what? I don't want to do that.
There's also this misconception too that dads don't have rights, or there's always a default that the mom gets to make all the decisions. Granted, now that I'm about to be a mom, I'm like, my body is being stretched every which way. I've been turned every which way but loose having this kid. So I'm very offended if you tell me now, oh, I got to do this with my kid. I'm like, all right, you've lost her. And it's an equity-based state. The legislature overly emphasizes the importance of having both children, having both parents and the children. There is no default it's going to mom. There's no default dad can't have time. Judges are going to go above and beyond to make sure that the non-custodial parent has as much time as possible, as reasonably possible for the non-custodial parent schedule. So if you're telling me you work 16 hours a day, but you want a 50-50 schedule, I'm going to ask you to tell me how that makes sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't at all. We kind of know that like that helped me that I work remote and like I make my own schedule.
It's very beneficial when you have flexibility. Like I work remote, I have flexibility. When it's time for the kids, right now, we don't have to spend money on childcare because I'm at home. It's not going to impact my day-to-day work.
Right.
All of those things are a list of factors that go into parenting time. And absent something totally egregious of like, oh, I picked up my kid and they hadn't eaten in 2 days. I picked up my kid and they were in soiled clothes.
Right.
I come pick up my kid, they have rashes and stuff. Tell me why dad or mom can't be with the kid.
Yeah.
I'm a chronic, even alcoholics get time with their kid because there are fail-safes in place. There's a thing called sober-link. So if you fear that your partner is drinking around the kids excessively or maybe drinking and driving, let's do a little panel test. It's called a PEP test. What's their alcohol level?
Just
tomorrow.
Like on a regular,
it'll be random. You have to go take a PEP test tomorrow. You have to take it within four days. This PEP test can tell you how crazy of a drinker you are. It can detect whether in your blood, on average, you have binged 10 drinks a day. Or what is that average?
Y'all better stop drinking. So much.
It's not even just like that. And if you are known, so if you've had an accident, you've been under the influence DUI, the judge will immediately put you on SoberLink. So whenever, and that is a device where it connects to your phone and you have to blow into it.
I've seen that before.
X amount of times, especially during your parenting time in the morning, in the afternoon, at night. Then they can add it onto your car. You can't drive your car with your kids in it. If you blow into this, the car lock up.
So do they have things like that in place for like people that do like other substances? Because like we know that Illinois is legal to
marijuana and stuff like that.
Like
they treat it just like alcohol.
Okay.
I don't know if there is like a drug detection, but you can within 24 hours, if there is any suspicion or you're suspected of doing drugs, you were seen acting weird, 24 hours, you have to do a drug test. And now we'll get your parenting time suspended. Nobody wants your kids in danger. But we do understand it's important that you spend time. Even people that are incarcerated get parenting time. There's case law around that.
How you get parenting time if you're in jail?
How long you gonna be there?
Oh, you talking about
Yeah. If I'm gonna be in there for a year and a half, I get all my parenting rights terminated. Like that, so that's the rationale. Like you still get.
Yeah, no, I think
so. That's not like a ding against you. You can go to jail absent you being child sexual abuser,
right?
Sexual assault. Did you murder a kid? Like you didn't murder your kid, so you still get parenting time. I mean,
right? More watch temper.
You don't, take anger management classes. We'll graduate this up, but
right. Yeah, no, I think a lot of times people just feel defeated before getting in. Y'all did a really good job of letting me know like y'all was gonna fight for me and I had equal rights and all those things that kind of like put the battery in my back to like keep going.
And it's also really important to give your client, hey, here is the law. This is where it's written down. Just read this for me so you can know the confines that I'm working in.
Right.
So I can't make your former paramour be a better parent. I can hold them responsible for 50% of the extracurricular activities. I can make sure that, your kid's covered on the health insurance, whichever makes sense. I can make sure they get child support. But the social emotional things, there's no remedy for that in the court. The judge can't say, yes, kiss your kid.
That's another thing, just like how you raise your kids and what like how you interact with your children, right?
Discipline too. The judge can go as far as say, okay, let's not do corporal punishment. Let's not hit the kids, but can't really weigh in on like, oh, if you do timeouts, I can't say you have to discipline your child.
Right.
Absent of you causing some type of physical bodily injury.
It makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of times people want to litigate things that just don't make sense. That
the judge has no authority to rule on.
Right. Well, I don't want him to wear blue.
Do not care.
Yeah. At all. I mean, I don't know. Did you deal with a lot of divorces or were you dealing with, so like, can you explain the process of like property division during divorce proceedings? Like how you ensure for distribution be, I guess, equitable?
Yeah, it depends on the state. So, Illinois, follows an equitable division of marital assets versus places like California that has community property. It's just 50-50 regardless. So remember at the top, we talked about family law. Judges aren't going to be responsible for your kids. You know who else they're not going to be responsible for? The spouse you chose to marry. So if you are a doctor and you guys have established a lifestyle where traditionally you're operating on a joint, even back up. When you get married, people think, oh, I got my account. She has her account. He has his account. We keep them separate. That's just my money. No. Once you get married, there's no my money, his money. All that money is one pot. Unless you have a prenup. Unless you have a premarital agreement, a prenuptial agreement, same thing. All that money goes into one pot. Any money earned subsequent to marriage is marital money.
Yep.
And then we all know the difference. Well, hopefully we're not in between equal and equitable. Yep. Equal is 50-50 no matter what. Equitable is how you have things that come in like maintenance, which is what it's called in Illinois, but formerly known as alimony spousal support.
Right.
So when you get a divorce, if you have a doctor that's earning $2 million a year, but then traditionally you've been married to this woman for 25 years, who's been a housewife raising your kids, you're on the hook for maintenance.
I know a couple people that's on maintenance.
Because who's not going to pay for your wife that you chose to marry and create a lifestyle of $2.5 million a year? The government.
Yeah.
Not my problem.
Yeah. So, like, for those people that, like, you said the word prenup, right? And, you know, Kanye told him, get prenup. Would you suggest a prenup in most situations? Or I know we talked about this.
Yes. Because as a Black people, we have enough of the government in our business.
Sure. A
prenup allows you to dictate the terms of a divorce if it ever comes to that. And it also does. So I have an Essence article about this where I was quoting this because it does so much more than say, oh, my marriage is going to be doomed because he made me or she made me sign a prenup. No, that is a perfect opportunity to stop you from getting a divorce because now you're putting all your cards on the table. You're talking about all the debt you have in your name, all the assets you have in your name.
Right.
You know what the total financial picture of what you're getting into.
Right. Before
you get married. And you guys are bound to each other. As another reference to Kanye. You are bound to this person.
Yeah, no, because like every time I used to really be like, yeah, I'm making somebody sign a prenup. And they were like, well, you just think it's going to end. I'm like, nah.
No.
I understand that there's a law and that's an option for a reason to put a protection for me. But for you, I was like, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Like in prenups, if you like break certain things, then the prenup becomes null and void, right?
That's it. Well, that's if you put that language in there.
Yeah, and I always say like if
Illinois is a no-fault state. If you get cheated on, she get cheated on, court don't care.
Facts.
There's no penalty to the other person.
I mean, that's what people be going. And every time I see irreconcilable differences, I will like, well, somebody didn't put the policy down.
No, that's blanket language. Just say we don't work out no more.
Right.
We just have irreconcilable differences. We no longer work out. This is not going to be fruitful for anybody for us to continue this union. That is legislative language.
I feel like you probably have seen like a lot of like divorces that was just like, this is just silly, but I guess y'all got it if that's what y'all want.
Y'all love each other, but y'all couldn't figure out how to work through a rough patch. And I think that we don't talk a lot about the ups and downs of marriage. Michelle Obama just got so much flack. She's like, I hated Barack for a decade. You have to work through those. People change. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. Why do I think when I get married, my spouse is going to be the same person in 10 years, in 20 years? There's so much life that happens that you have to adjust to. When you bring kids into the picture, there's so many like articles and research about the invisible load of motherhood, about all the things that fall on women that right, wrong, or otherwise men don't have to think about. They're not automatically, wired that way or even jumping to think about those things. I know we all see those little TikTok videos where the guy will go up to the couple and be like, "Hey, what's the name of your kid's best friends?"
Mhm.
Dad don't got no clue.
No idea.
What's your kid's dentist name? No clue. What's your kid's pediatrician? So that's an invisible load that mom is always thinking about.
Right.
Oh shit, it's been 6 months. My kid needs to go to the dentist. Oh crap, it's been 6 months. It's time to get their eyes examined again. Brittany's birthday, little Karen's best friend. So I got to make sure they're having a sleepover. We got to get to the birthday party. If they're on sports, it's usually moms that's putting together the snack bags. These are little things dad don't think about. Or when you get
some dads.
Some dads don't think about. Or the non-custodial parent.
Right.
Be like, oh, at school, this week is Spirit Week.
What do we gotta do?
What do we have to do? My dad didn't know nothing about no Spirit Week. Like, come home like, why you got on mismatched socks? Why would your mom dress you this way?
I mean, I ain't participate in Spirit Week, but that's because, I'm antisocial. So
it's just all of those things that, like, this invisible load that's always being
placed on the mom.
Placed on the custodial parent,
right.
Usually the mom, that people aren't thinking about. So that's also a big factor that comes into divorce, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a dad or another parent like, I was there with my kid every day. And then the GL be like, okay, well, do the teachers know you? Do they call you? Mm-hmm. Do you know your kid's allergies? But I want 50-50 parenting time. I want to do this. And it's like,
and
who's the best fit for the kids long term to be there all the time? And then also there's a drawback on that too, because then that's how you turn into like the weekend dad and you get to be the fun dad.
Mm-hmm. And then they resent mom.
And they resent mom because mom is putting in all those structures during the week. And then they go to dad's house. It's Friday through Sunday. They done went to the movies. They done went to Disney World. Odyssey Farm. We had so much fun at dad's house. And we come back to mom's house and we had to do all this work.
My dad's house wouldn't find out.
I mean, so yeah, that's like.
My dad's house, we finna go cut some lawns and you got, like, my mom definitely like, I would stay up. But my dad, it's so, like, our situations are different. Like, I had like this healthy fear of my father, right? Like, that he would pull up. And it's because my mom let him come to the house when I was like 10 when he lived there and I got up with him. But like, there was this fear that my dad would pull up. And that kept me in place, right? Because I didn't have to go to my dad's house for the fun house because my house was cool. I had all the video games. It was me, whatever. And I had my godparents and all that. But like, I knew that the dude with my name, he would pull up on me.
I was very blessed, and as crazy as my parents were, absolutely nuts. They were always on the same page when it came to my brother.
Mm.
We wasn't getting away with nothing. Because it'll just happen, and then my dad will call and he'll know about it. I was like, how do you know?
First picture?
Like, how did you know? I thought y'all didn't even like each other.
Fact.
Like, how did you find out so quick?
Yo, when my mom had my dad show up to the house, I was so betrayed. He don't even live here. How did he get in the house, bro? But like.
So that's a benefit of like healthy co-parenting of like your kids know that no matter what, y'all are on the same page. Report card pickup, my parents are rolling up together. Like, all right, we're going to talk to these teachers together, see what they got to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that stuff is important.
That people don't think about. We didn't got away. Get a prenup.
Get prenup.
Get a prenup. You dictate
me on task.
You dictate how you divide your assets. You dictate also how you want to manage your money. Because you can, within the prenup, you can say, all right, marital money for our purposes is whatever money we put inside this joint account.
Right.
And then if we ever have a divorce, we'll split that. Whatever is in that joint account.
Yeah.
But everything else is separate.
Because that's how I've always looked at it. Like, look, I looked at it like, whatever there's a total income of the house, right? And whatever your percentage of that income is, that's what we put in the joint account. Whatever you got outside of that, that's your money. Do your thing.
But that's how like you would want to dictate it.
Yeah.
Some people would be like, I don't care who makes percentage. we're both putting 50-50 inside of
That
this
sounds
account.
crazy as hell to me.
But that's how, everybody can dictate the rules of their relationship, how they want to do it without the government involving. But if the government does have to get involved because you don't have a prenup, it is going to be equitable. So if you overwhelmingly have 80% of the income that's coming to the house, we don't have to come get some of that. Probably about 30 of it.
I'm probably going out of the country. Yeah, I go 5 million.
We're probably going to have to get about 30% of that. I
used to get so mad when I hear about those judgments where people billionaires will lose $6 billion out of 10. I'll be like, bruh, what? You're not going to convince me that this woman needed $6 billion.
That's how they live their standard of life.
Yeah.
Whatever she was doing at home, help that man to go out, help Jeff Bezos go out there and do what he want to do while they got these 5 kids at home, and created a home where you can go out and do those things. Or also, his wife also she was also working for the company, had a high up position.
That was a different situation.
Probably also sacrificed earning. And that's also something that you don't consider, Black mortality rate for mothers. You're giving birth to you guys as child. I could end up with a disability where my earning potential is no longer what I can't practice law anymore.
Right.
So not bringing in what I used to. If we get a divorce, does that mean I need to go be on welfare because of a decision that we made as a couple?
No. That's a fair point. I don't think I've ever thought about it from that perspective. I try to be conscious about Black women and their bodies, but I never even thought about you gonna be on disability because of having my child.
I had a C-section versus a natural birth. Now I'm out the count for a while.
Yep.
I had to heal. Then I also had to take care of this kid. What if something happens to our kid and our kid is born with a disability?
Right. Which is another conversation I had before you having a kid.
Yeah, so then I can't work or this parent can't work because somebody has to stay home and take care of our child.
Yeah, it's definitely tough being a parent and navigating that stuff, whether you're married or not married, because I think there's sometimes an automatic distrust of the other parent because y'all have y'all own issues that they don't have the child's best interest at heart. And I don't, you're paranoid about stuff that's not even on the radar.
Even before you get kids, what if something happens and we are living our best married, blissful life? We're in Colorado, we off the side of the road, have an accident, I get injured. So now I can't work no more.
What we gonna do?
We get a divorce, and you're like, well, shit, you got broke legs, so...
You paralyzed.
My earning potential is now completely different, which also goes back into equity. If you have a PhD versus this person has a high school diploma, what you can earn is drastically different. If you have a trade and you've been practicing electrician for 30 years, this person has been a Walgreens clerk. Earning potentials are completely different.
Right.
So yeah, I can take 60% from you. You're going to bounce back and it'll all be yours. This person won't bounce back.
That's fair.
So oh, she didn't deserve that much money. Why is she getting all this money? Or they were like, oh, this baby mama is getting all this money and child support from this athlete. Yeah, but dad has a private jet and flies across the world whenever they want. Mom can't do that. Dad lives in somewhere up north in a multi-million-dollar mansion. So when I go to dad's house, it's a mansion. But when I go to mom, I'm in the projects. How is that fair to that child?
There's got to be a balance for sure. But I think to the athlete thing or somebody on those extremes, that's going to end one day. You're not going to do that.
Yeah, so hopefully you're smart with that money you're getting.
Or you can go back and ask for somebody to, hey, we need to rerun these numbers. So when you were still practicing, like, how did you stay updated on changes to, on like in family law regulations to ensure that your clients receive the most up-to-date legal advice?
Aside from I was practicing at the largest law firm in Illinois, that's like very well renowned and respected.
Appreciate
There's
that.
so many in the legal field, period. You don't practice law in a silo. You're not isolated. There's so much information that's currently being pumped out.
Right.
The legislature is always going to make sure you have that information, whether it's through a bar association.
Mm-hmm.
Lawyers are required to do CLEs, as continuing learning education, where if you're in the field every year, you have to get X amount of hours to show that you're constantly learning about all the updates that you're coming out. Wherever you usually practice, Cook County is pumping that information out. Like, hey, this just came back. This is how it's going to affect how we're ruling. Because you have to stay abreast of it. Even the judge will be like, hey, new guidelines dropped. Is your software updated?
I remember y'all talking to me. We were doing the...
Yeah, it was like, guidelines just came out. Let's try and get this submitted before this significant change comes through. You're always learning. You're always in the know because things are always constantly changing. So the information it's there. Mm-hmm. It's coming at you from so many different places. There's so many resources, guys. I don't remember what the red book was called, but every year there's this like big red book that gets put out with like all the updates and amendments to legislation that might be coming out. Bar associations have subgroups. So there's like family law subsection constantly being inundated with information that's coming out. They don't hide it. The ball is not being hidden at all. And if you're practicing every day as a practicing attorney,
you better be up to date on it.
You have no choice but to be up to date on it.
So, this is kind of going back to the beginning of the conversation. Like, let's say somebody's green to the situation. They don't know nothing. This is like their first kid or their first situation, like having to reach out to a family law attorney. Like, what are like some things that they should for sure do before even like getting involved in that process? Or like just
like
starting the process.
Like how to pick an attorney?
Yeah.
You want to interview your attorneys. Do those free consultations. Ask them about their practice. Ask them about their philosophy. It's hard, but get referrals.
I mean, somebody did refer me to y'all.
Referral sources are really good because that person tell you like, hey, I worked with this person. They did this, and this that I liked. Something like, I started off with that person. I didn't like them because they were dropping the ball here. Also, to be a client, it can be annoying to attorneys sometimes because you, as a lay person, you don't understand. You think every court appearance, something major is going to happen. Mm-hmm. No.
Right.
It's not. It's usually a status where you're just coming into court and giving the judge an update on any progress that you've made or any discovery that you've issued. If you guys have been able to come to an agreement and the judge will give you 30-some days, all right, well, we're going to have a hearing on this. Make sure it's fully briefed. If you filed a motion, they get to respond. You get to reply. Once all those things are done within like the timelines of the rules of civil procedure, which is like the court rules.
Right.
Judge will have an evidentiary hearing. You bring all your evidence, exchange it with the other side. I'll weigh in based on the law. But there's so much you can do before you spend all that money getting into a contested hearing, which is so expensive.
Oh, I know.
So big things you should know. Make sure you have an attorney that fits your personality style, mm-hmm. has a practicing philosophy that works best for you, and that you can afford.
Yeah. That affording piece.
They tell you off the bat how much they charge per hour. You will be shocked at how fast an hour can go by when you don't need an attorney, you need a therapist.
Yeah. Shout out to therapists. Get a therapist, please.
If you're going through this process, get a therapist because as your attorney, I'm not your therapist. I am going to listen. I'm going to have to charge you for those 2 hours.
That you were
rambling about nothing I can do. There's literally nothing the court can give you to get the relief that you want.
That's right.
And if you have a partner that's on your case that's billing at $4.50 an hour, and an associate on a case that's billing at $2.50 an hour, we're on a conference call. That's an hour at $4.50 for the partner, $2.50 for the associate. That's $700 to just listen to you ramble when you could have just paid your $40 copay and went to a therapist.
This is true.
So it's just being conscious of those things of which you can get a legal recourse for.
Yeah.
And also about you being super efficient. Are you responding to emails in a timely manner? Are you getting me the things that I need to best advocate for you? If I'm saying, hey, we were just in court. You heard the judge say we had 21 days to exchange pay stubs.
Where pay stub is?
You heard him tell me the same. So I'm asking you every 5 days. Hey, can you send me your pay stubs for the past 3 months? Hey, can you send
make your lawyer's job easy.
Make your lawyer's job easy.
Yeah.
And then you're not spending money because every time I send you this follow-up email asking you the same question, I'm going to charge you for it.
Yeah. And I think it's really that interviewing or like knowing your attorneys is important, like, because you and Joe are like a good balance for me, because Joe's extremely passionate with you and he would put the battery in my back and you would like, Hubert, relax. Like, but you know, like I needed that. I needed to know that people were advocating for me, but also was like going to reel me in. Like, hey, yeah, but let's
be real.
Let's be real about it too. And I think as a man, it's very important to have like a female attorney like on your case also, because like she's going to give you perspective, right? Because even though you were my attorney, you would be like, nah, Hubert.
Let's be for real.
Like, as a black woman, don't know. And you know, and I appreciated that. Like, even if in the moment I didn't necessarily appreciate it that much, it was like, I guess you're right. But yeah, so I think that's important. Can you like share like a significant or a challenging family law case handled in the past? How you successfully like resolved it?
Okay, interview questions. They're different level of challenges, right?
Yeah.
They're super emotionally taxing challenges. And then I've had cases where there was one party that abused substances.
Okay.
That's really hard. Because especially if your client is a substance abuser and you're advocating for your job is to advocate for your client, but then also in your mind, like, I have to also be rational, reasonable, and remember that I'm doing this job in the best interest of children.
I think a lot of people need to keep that in mind, as in the best interest of the children.
So this is not regular civil litigation, right?
Right.
Where there's a winner. Nobody is a winner in family law if you're hurting your kids.
Big facts.
The best thing you can do in family law is to work together collaboratively, because you're being watched, not by the court.
By your children.
By your children. They're watching, they're observing, they're seeing how you're treating their mother. They're seeing how you're talking to them. They're learning how to respond when angry or when they're not getting their way.
Mm-hmm.
There's no winners in family law.
No.
That's really challenging. Also, things that are really challenging are when you have children that have that struggle mentally.
Mm.
And you have two parents who want to do their damnedest by their child, but their child suffers from anxiety, depression, is suicidal.
Mm.
That is extremely hard for an attorney to navigate and advocate for that client, because you do have to put on a therapist hat, like, hey, this is really hard. It's hard for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We just want your kid to be good. And we're not mental health professionals. The judge is not a mental health professional. So you guys are going to have to come out of your pocket again. Get a 60410 evaluator who is a mental health professional to come up with a plan that's in the best interest of your kid.
It's so much stuff
You're mad, you're sad, you're frustrated, you're emotional. Dad isn't doing this, well, mom is doing this and coddling him and doing this or not giving him medication. So it's like, that doesn't help your child.
Yeah.
But understanding that you're so emotionally overwhelmed because you want to help your kid.
Yeah, stuff is stuff.
So those are really hard situations. Easy cases, you got $15 million. Y'all are getting divorced. Who do I have? Let's split it down the middle if it makes sense. Let's figure out how this is equitable. Those are the easy cases.
Right.
Unless you're rich and crazy.
There's a lot of
But usually, I'm going to tell you something. Rich people don't argue over the money. They not about to spend no money on these lawyers. They come split it in half, give her whatever she wants. Let's get this over with.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Broke people argue about the smallest things that cost so much money that make cases so difficult because you don't have the money to pay me.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to argue over stupish. My reputation is on the line because I'm going in front of these judges that I go before every day, not just on your case, but other cases. And if I'm arguing this dumb position, I'm losing credibility as a professional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, because that first invoice I got from y'all, I was like,
it gives you that reality check.
You gotta speed
Let's reel this in.
Yeah.
But then it's also not a speed up. We can't make the court move faster.
Right.
What we can do is help y'all come to an agreement.
Facts.
So we can get out of here.
Definitely.
But every time we have to go through this extensive discovery, we have to prepare for all these extensive hearings. We have to have these back and forth conversations with the attorney about who's not doing what. It's expensive for no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, expensive because you have me doing all this labor.
And you gotta get paid.
And I have to get paid for the labor that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But
which is also why you switched schools.
It's being a family law attorney, you're always on.
Yeah.
So I had no work-life balance. I'm taking calls on the weekend. I'm at dinner with my family. It's people calling me. And you have to try to figure out, all right, is this an emergency? Is the kid in danger? But even if the kid is in danger, don't call me. Call 911 because I can't do nothing. I can't do nothing. Can't do anything until 9 a.m. the court opens.
Facts. Yeah, there would be times I wanted to hit you up. I was like, oh, it's late. I don't know if I should do something like that.
And it'll probably be like, gee, there's nothing I can do for you right now.
Yeah.
Except for talk you off, get you from going off the deep end.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people underestimate, you want to go into the situation level-headed, but it's not a level-headed thing for a lot of people.
It's highly emotional.
Right. But being highly emotional can cost you a lot of money. Can cost you a lot of your feelings. It also can cost you your time with your children.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I went to therapy before I started the process, right? To deal with handling conflict. And I can only imagine, how I would have navigated the last year or so if I didn't understand, to calm myself or have those tools to, not take everything so personally or just move on.
But that's also a survival skill we have to teach Black children that they're going to be observing because it's life or death in this country if we're not teaching them how to appropriately respond and control their emotions when they're angry.
Mm-hmm.
Getting angry is not a bad thing. How we're responding to that, though, can be life or death.
Yeah. Now, even though my son is a year, when he gets upset, I'd be like, after he calms, I'm like, all right. I don't know if he understands. I'd be like, can't let our emotions control us. Control your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. You're okay. At this room, we're gonna move on. And he'd be back playing. But, somebody told me the other day, that's the biggest thing in the world to him because he don't have no awareness of bro, you didn't get the food you wanted. You'll be okay. Right?
Falling out.
Right.
But that's our opportunity to teach our kids, okay, You had these emotions. You fell out. We're not going to fall out again.
I just be looking at him like, we done?
I'm going to let you have your emotions.
I'm like, are you done? All right, let me know when you're done. But, you know, shout out to my son. He's a very chill baby for the most part. I'm enjoying these moments. And
they go by fast.
Yeah, like, I think
I said that the other day. I was like, wait. Oh my God. This time.
Yeah, like it's going by so fast.
Just got here.
The crazy thing is the last 2 months have went by so fast. Like he got his first haircut. He's walking now. Last time he was with me, he was trying to run. I was like, bro, you could barely walk on balance 2 weeks ago. Like, what? You trying to run? But I can only imagine like missing those moments, right? Like how excited I am to like, oh, he can walk now. Oh, he's trying to talk. Cause I snatch his pacifier from him every time I see him. I'm like, no, we gonna try to talk. Cause we.
And wait until he starts sounding like you.
Yeah.
When you be like, you got that from me, huh? You were listening. Where did you get that phrase from?
Bro, when I took him around my family and he pouted on me, I was like, oh, you think you click. You don't never pout. And now you around other people you pouting? Okay. And I got to see like his personality, like him being a ham. I'm like, oh, you really are my child. Like he like lit up and was like, he was like, oh, I get to entertain people. I was like, all right. So I know what I'm gonna have to deal with. You acting out in public.
You deal with a mini you.
Which is cool because I get to see like what my parents saw. Right. And I think people need to take that into account when they're going to this process of like, you don't get those moments back. And it sucked for me because I started the process being in another state. Because I was finishing my MBA program and like, I think that's also what had me very emotional about everything. Cause it was like, I don't want to miss anything because I don't ever want him to like have a memory of me not being there.
So temporary.
Yeah. But it was just like, but like, I enjoy it. Like even those mornings when I'm exhausted because I have my little routine with him of like feed him before I go to sleep. But like, if I hear anything when he's here, I'm up. And then I can't go back to sleep immediately because I want to make sure he's good. And then waking up 2-3 hours later just to, make sure he eats and we get going and like he's up because he's ready to get up, even though I'm still exhausted. But you don't want to miss those moments and you want to do what's best for your child because like that's all that matters was that one person's here, what's best for them. All right. So I think you kind of answered this, but like, how do you balance like being empathetic and objective at the same time? Because I think naturally as a lawyer, you're probably more leaning on the like objective, like rational side of things, but like having that space for the empathy for either side of the table.
My personality is already default a no nonsense nurturer. Like I'm gonna love you to death, but I'm also like, all right, yeah, let's be BFFR, let's be for real. And I think as an attorney, what is helpful is giving your clients the law. Be like, hey, we're arguing over this. This is literally what the legislator says. This is what it says. This is what we're operating in. This is what the judge is gonna look into. So I understand that, oh, you might say this wasn't our standard of living. He took care of himself. I took care of myself. Yeah, but y'all don't have a prenup.
Child against prenups.
So all of that money is just one pot. And the judge is just going to divide that one pot equitably.
Yeah. Well, Cameron said in you be all right. You tough nigga, you be all right.
So like that's where the balance comes in. Like I understand like this is incredibly hard.
Yeah.
You got kids that have all these names. You have a lot of times people are living beyond their means. So far beyond their means. They have so much debt that when it comes to divorce, they're like, oh, shit.
I don't got enough to take care of myself.
I don't have enough to take care of myself. We're going to be stuck with all this debt. But then also in a divorce, what they try to do is say, yeah, these little assets y'all got are going to go to pay off this debt. And then y'all are going to be stuck with what's left.
To split that.
To split it. And it's going to be scary. But it's like, it still leaves you on the upside because at least you're not drowning in this debt by yourself. They said, all right, y'all can't figure out what to do with the house. The house is worth $250. Put it on the market. Y'all got $250 in credit card debt.
Pay it off.
Pay it off. And now y'all just got your income.
Figure it out.
You got no house. She also got the debt.
That you ain't got to pay monthly bills to no one.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be all right.
You'll be all right. Go get a little second job, your little DoorDash or something. So, like, that's like kind of the pros and cons. But even debt is divided equitably. I don't even know if we talked about that. If you have $250K in debt and you're making $1.5 million and this person is making $0, that debt going to you, babes. You can pay that off.
Yeah. Well, you should have been paying it off in the first place.
Yeah. But you can't split 50-50 because that puts you at a way better advantage. So this person's going to be upside down.
That's true. All right. So, like, let's talk about something like specific to Illinois, right? Because we talked about that.
Okay.
For our Chicago people, like, help people understand, like, how we allocate child support.
Okay, so Illinois works on guidelines. So child support guidelines, there is this formula that's put in place, and it takes into account the income of both parents, your gross income.
Mm-hmm.
So gross income is your income that you make before taxes.
Right.
So we're putting in what partner A makes, what partner B makes. Both parties are responsible for taking care of the kid. Formula spits out a number. And it also includes numbers of overnights. That's a really big thing. So if both of you guys make $60K and y'all both have almost equal parenting time, child support is like $0. But if you guys both make $60K and let's say partner A is now every other weekend partner, your child support is going to be a nice chunk. Because partner number 2 has significantly more responsibility than you.
And we were talking about that earlier. Like,
in caring for the child.
Yeah.
And it really grinds my gears when I will get a call and be like, oh, I wish X, Y, and Z trying to send you back for child support. It's like, okay, well, when did you guys first get the child support order? Oh, when the kid was 1. How old is the kid now? 16.
You ain't making more money since you was the child born.
Even if you're not making more money, this child has substantially greater needs.
Yeah.
At 16 than they did at 1.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, is the kid on your health insurance? No. How much are you paying a month? Oh, $250.
Well, if you don't get out of here.
I can't do nothing for you, sweetheart. Like, no.
Get off my phone, bye.
No. And I think that people really have a misunderstanding of child support.
Mm-hmm.
Throw my dad on the bus. He was really good saying, oh, I pay your mom child support. And I was like, I mean, I still want some ones though. Like, I don't know. I didn't see that money. And now as an adult, I was like, gee, look, he was paying $200 a week for 2 kids.
That ain't nothing.
Like, how many myself? Because, like, every day it's something new with kids. Like, we took public transportation to school. We're paying for that. Paying for lunches because our parents made too much money.
Right.
So we didn't get free and reduced lunch. It might have been reduced. So we're paying for lunches every day, the extracurricular activities, calculators. Once you got to high school, $8,500 calculators. Random fees for this, school trips, random books that we would have to buy
Clothes for school.
Clothes for school because kids grow like weeds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You sitting there, oh, dang, you done got so big. I just saw you, 2 weekends ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what also means that kid got big? Them pants got small.
Or you like me, my 7th grade year, I went from wearing a 7.5 to a 10.5 in the span of one school year. And then over the summer, I went from 5'1" to 5'7".
So just imagine if you're saying, oh, I pay child support, this child's whole wardrobe had to be revamped. At no fault to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have teenagers. How much these kids eat?
I ate a lot. My mom,
you know how much these groceries are?
My mom used to buy like cases of catfish, like 40 pieces of catfish, because like I would eat, because I was playing football, I would eat a catfish sandwich over the summer. I would eat a catfish sandwich in the morning before I go work out. I would eat like whatever catfish meal in the afternoon, and then I would eat whatever for dinner. But like, in hindsight, now that I'm thinking about it, because my parents didn't hide a lot of stuff from me. Like, so I was very aware of what was going on. So like, I knew what the allocation was for child support. I knew what their divorce decree, all that stuff was. So I knew where that money was going, and I knew that money was going to a car note. But like, even that, like, as a kid, you like, but I want that money. But you like, well,
how you gonna get the football practice?
Well, not even that. How was we get to school? Because I'm gonna be real with you. In high school, my high school was literally from my house 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't supposed to go to that high school. I was going to another high school that was like 5 minutes away. I wouldn't get up to get on the bus because I was like, bro, I gotta get up at 6:30. My mom had to take me to school and drop me. She didn't pick me up, but I would take the bus back home. But like, take me to school every day. When I was in middle school, I told you I went to that middle school. That middle school we stayed on, so like in Columbus, we stayed by the river. My middle school was like way on the other side of town, like going into another city, another county. You know what I'm saying? So that was a 30-minute drive before my mom went to work.
So just put it into like even perspective right now. If you are a parent that has your kid every other weekend,
which my dad had me every other week,
and the primary parent is driving to and from school, to extracurricular activities, making sure the kid has food for this kid that eats like crazy, taking these kids to all these sports, the supplemental snacks, taking these kids to all these doctor's appointments. If you're like me, I am blind. I can't see for nothing. Paying for these glasses that I would break.
I used to be glasses, LASIK.
That are not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
That you are shielded from to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know how your day-to-day is. You're just trying to get to the next day. You're just going.
Right.
That money is gone, babe. And it's spent on your child. Because if I'm driving your kid 30 minutes because we agreed to take this kid to a good school, but I live on the east side, the school is on the west side.
Mm-hmm.
Gas is $5 a gallon right now.
No, my car don't move unless I'm picking up my son.
So if you're just thinking about all this riveting money that's going for the betterment of your child,
right,
that you are essentially shielded from, you're not paying on the wear and tear of that other person's body. You come home from work exhausted, still gotta cook, help with homework that you're not helping with because you're the weekend fun time. School projects that gotta get done. Oh, why my kid not doing well? Well, I stayed up till 3 a.m. when your kid went to sleep to finish putting the size board together.
Yeah.
Because I was very guilty of doing that to my mama.
Oh, yeah, I was definitely
asking last minute, like, I got a little project. Can I get a little trifold board?
Yeah.
It's due tomorrow.
I'm sorry.
So now she just got me at 6:30. The store about to close at 8, and we got to go get all these materials.
Trey, you knew you needed.
You knew you needed all this, but that's also something that the custodial parent has to deal with on a day-to-day basis that the non-custodial parent is shielded from.
Yeah.
And you're complaining about this money, but you're not taking it to account. The money is being spent on your child as well as additional effort that's falling on this parent that you are not adding to.
Yeah, for sure. But we probably could talk about this all day. I think it's something that we're both very passionate about. I definitely appreciate you coming on. I know you got to get home. feed that baby.
Oh my God, and go to sleep.
Yep.
But
Yep.
if anybody needs like referrals for good family law attorneys, if you need, especially for people that are Black, let me know. I have plenty of good referrals for people that I trust to do a good job, because finding a good attorney
is important.
And it's also not the easiest. You see all these billboards, but
That'd be cap.
not all the time, but still, like,
Yeah.
how do you know the quality of their work? Because you're not sitting in the courtroom watching them practice.
Especially if you're out of state, like I was.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, yeah. Thank y'all for joining us for another episode. Make sure you're being the best version of you, because everybody's already taken. I wish you peace, patience, understanding, knowledge, wisdom, discernment, and health, strength, resolve. Remember, every action has a reaction, and every choice has a consequence. So y'all be easy or don't, but peace out.